Hey everybody, and welcome to day 4 of the 2020 CATSPYs presented by Kentucky Farm Bureau. I'm Laura Rutledge from ESPN, be with you all week long, and we are getting to the really good stuff here with the CATSPYs. So today is extra special. We're going to be spending this entire show celebrating the individual accomplishments, amazing ones, of Wildcats from the past year. So I'm going to break down some of the criteria for you so you have a little guide of what we're going to be doing, looking back to the spring sports all the way back to 2019. So in team sports, we're talking first team all conference or better. And let me tell you, we're talking about 6 conference players of the year among that group, 2 National Football Award winners, 2 National Players of the Year, and a Senior Class Award winner. Impressive there. Also, sports where individuals compete in events. We're talking a podium finish at the conference championships or first team All-America. How about these numbers? 8 individual SEC champions, 37 different athletes with a conference podium finish. Truly amazing. So we have all kinds of great coaches here to talk about this. And we have so many that we had to divide them into 2 groups. So let's do that now. Welcome in Rachel Lawson, Craig Skinner, Coach Cal, Mark Stoops, Tim Garrison, and Matthew Mitchell. And welcome to all of you. Congratulations on an amazing year. We're going to have you guys talk about your great athletes. We're so happy to have all of you here. And we're going to begin with Coach Rachel Lawson from softball. Take it away, Coach. Tell us what you want to about your great players.
Well, the fact that there's just so many great players in the athletic department just shows you the strength of the commitment that that our AD has made, our president has made, the fans, the Big Blue Nation. It's just phenomenal. And when I think of my athletes, all 3 of them did everything the right way off the field. They were so committed to their bodies in terms of the nutrition and the strength side. And they were the first large class that really took advantage of our brand new hitting facility. And there wasn't an off day that they weren't in there hitting. They were always, there before practice. And so they did everything right. And then when it came down to game day, they were just amazing. They really fed off of the BBN. It was awesome. They loved to compete. They had high energy, very different. Abby was the one you could always hope for to hit a home run, and Katie was always running around making amazing plays. And, Jenny was probably the most underrated player we had for the 4 years. She was kind of the heart and soul of the team. She did everything right to keep her body in the best shape. She caught over 20,000 pitches in her career. She just did everything great. So I'm just so proud of the 3 of them and so proud that they were able to utilize everything Kentucky has and build themselves into the great performers that they really are.
That's great, Coach Lawson. And congratulations to Abby Cheek, National Player of the Year, Jenny Shaper, First Team All SEC, of course, and Katie Reed, Senior Class Award winner. What a group there. Next, let's go to Coach Matthew Mitchell with women's basketball. Ryan Howard, SEC Player of the Year, First Team All-American. What would you like to say about her and her great time with UK, Coach?
She was a phenomenal player. She had such a strong freshman season, but this was going to be a different challenge for her because we really led her freshman season by 2 great seniors. So she was able to sort of ease into her freshman year and find her way. And as she entered her sophomore year, she was going to be really a marked player. Every game, she was going to get the best defender that a team had. And she worked extremely hard in the off season to prepare for a sophomore year that just became really, really magical for her. So she is the quintessential complete player in basketball. She can impact the game in every single way, whether it be scoring at all 3 levels, rebounding, defense. She just made amazing plays all over the court. But the thing that I love about her is how clutch she was. She is such a clutch player. She can have the balls, wants the ball at the end of the clock, whether it be at the end of the shot clock, end of the quarter, end of the game. She helped us all have a Merry Christmas by hitting a game winner in the final seconds at University of California right before Christmas time. Everybody in the gym knew who was going to get the ball, and she got it and made the play. And the last thing I'd say about Ryan is what a teammate and person. She just wants to win. She wants Kentucky to be successful. She wants to do whatever's necessary for her teammates to get the victory. And so she's just been so much fun to coach. She's a great representative of Kentucky, and the fans have embraced her, and they certainly should have, because she's an amazing player.
Ryan's awesome. It was also her birthday on Wednesday, so happy birthday to Ryan. Let's move to Mark Stoops now, football coach. Lynn Bowden, obviously recognized as the nation's most versatile player, one of the most amazing seasons in NCAA history. The list goes on and on of the great things that he did. Max Duffy, Drake Jackson, Logan Stenberg. Just give us a little bit of what you'd like to say about those guys, what they did for your team.
Yeah, I'll start with the old man of the group, Max Duffy. He's a character in himself, that's for sure. Max is 27 years old, played Australian rules football. We had to go all the way to Australia to recruit him, but Max did an amazing job, remarkable kicker, had a great fake punt. He could run, but extremely talented, great leader, impressive person. You know, you move to Lynn. What can you say about Lynn? There's so many accolades that he received, and rightfully so. Lynn is a guy recognized to win the Paul Horning, the most versatile player in the country, and so deserving of that. It's been well documented. Went through some injuries this year, had to move him to quarterback. And then I think once we moved him to quarterback, I think it was impossible for us to get out of it. You know, people talk all the time, they joke about how you feel like, was it hard to move him to quarterback? No, he absolutely loved it because he loves the game going through his hands every snap. And that's the thing about the quarterback position. It gave him a chance to just showcase all of his abilities. Starting with his leadership, just an amazing leadership, very selfless in everything that he did. But once we made the move and committed to playing him at quarterback, it really changed the direction of our season. We really went through some hard times early in the year. And again, we get some guys hurt, but nobody's going to feel sorry for you around here. You know, that's the way it is in this league. So very competitive, and just very proud of Lynn and appreciate Lynn for stepping in, doing a great job at quarterback. Obviously a great punt returner, kick returner, wide receiver, running back, you name it. He can do it all. So very proud of him. Just got drafted by the Raiders. I think that's a great fit for him. Then you move to Logan Stenberg. Logan is a guy that's just been so steady for us. He's just been a mauler. You know, we take pride in being a physical football team and running the football. And Logan has been a mainstay at guard, big, strong, physical guy. Again, a tremendous leader for us. He was a team captain, and very proud of Logan. He'll play in the NFL, was just drafted. And, so he was a mainstay for us for years. And then Drake Jackson, he's right in the middle of the line, playing center for us. A touch undersized, but plays with a big heart, is the leader of the offensive line, makes all the calls and protections, extremely intelligent guy. So really all proud of all four of those guys, just like the other coaches mentioned. It's just it starts with their leadership and their dedication to the Big Blue Nation, and very proud of those guys. There's so much more I could say about each of them, but I know there's so many athletes that we need to recognize, but I'm very proud of those four and so many more on our team.
Yeah, excellent work by them and by you, Coach. Let's go to Coach Cal next. And we got Emmanuel Quickly, the SEC Player of the Year, and Nick Richards, who was first team All SEC. Coach, what'd you like to say about those two?
Two special young men, and both on their own path. You're talking about, start with Nick because he's a year older, a young man that started playing when he was 14, took on this process. We never stopped believing in him and tried to keep pushing him. And by the start of this year, you started seeing signs. And then he took it to another level. He became the best big man in college basketball. Emmanuel Quickly did get Player of the Year in our league, but this runner-up was Nick Richards. And so you're talking about a guy that improved his conditioning, all the stuff that you have to be special, from shooting the ball to skill set to rebounding to blocking shots. He gave us a chance to win a national title this year. No one else had a player like him. what he's done in this period of time to put himself in a position to be a first-round draft pick. When I go back to New Jersey, that's what they talk about to me. They'll say, I saw Nick. I can't believe he's gotten this good. Well, let me tell you, he did it. He was in the gym. He spent time on the court extra after practice and before. He worked in the weight room. He did it. And I'll tell you, and Coach Skinner's on here, Leah was really good for Nick and got him to do the right stuff. And I'll tell you, I appreciate her as much as I appreciate him. But I'm proud of him, proud of what he's become and where he's going. And Emmanuel, quickly, again, first year he's here, he starts some, he comes off the bench some. He has a good year. Never even question, I'm here next year. I'm going to get this right. How about the beginning of this year? I don't start him. Not that he didn't deserve to start, but I was trying to say we need to get this guy time and that guy, and we'll kind of work this together. About the 6th, 7th game, I said, that's it. He deserves to start. He went from that to being player of the year in our league. And let me say this. He was a good defender, just okay his first year. He became a terrific defender. He made clutch shots. I can remember Nick after the Florida game getting trounced and they poured the water on him. They did the same with Emmanuel down at Texas A&M. They left him and he got 30 points. He made threes. But we needed big shots against Texas Tech on the road. He made them. And that's why he was player of the year in our league. He also, both guys, terrific students. Emmanuel has such a great base at home. His family, they're there at every game. They're with him unconditional, the same as Nick. When you have unconditional love, you have a chance. On top of that, both of them were committed to this team. They were committed to their teammates. They did everything they could to make their teammates better. This experience for them, they had to fight to get what they wanted. They had to take what they wanted. Nothing was given to them here. They had to earn it. There were ups and downs. Any athlete, there's got to be downs. You got to fail some. You got to learn about yourself. These two have. And just like Nick, Emmanuel has put himself in a position to be a first-round pick in the NBA. Both of them, I couldn't be prouder. Great students. Both of those two will graduate from this university. And that's a big deal. So I'm proud of both of them.
That's awesome. Yeah. Student athletes at the end of the day, which is great. Let's go to Tim Garrison now from gymnastics. And first of all, you're a great personal hair cutter because your hair looks great and you cut your own hair, which I like to see that. Let's talk about Molly, multiple time All-American and first team All-SEC, and also Josie, who's also first team All-SEC. Tell us what you'd like to say about your two athletes.
Yeah, I'm so proud of these young ladies and how they represent our program and, and University of Kentucky athletics in the Big Blue Nation. I'll start with Josie. Just, I guess the most impressive thing about her is her desire for improvement. She came in her freshman year and she competed one event and, did well, but I think she felt like she underwhelmed. And at that point, she was at a crossroads and which way is she going to go? Is she going to settle for, being, relegated to one event and that's her role, or does she want more and is she going to work harder to achieve? And obviously she chose the tougher route. She became a bit of a pain, constantly pestering me. What can I do? How can I get better? Where am I in lineups? And how do I change that if it's not what she wanted to hear? And through that and through all her hard work, she achieved, and she was a solid competitor on 3 events for us this year. And not only that, she was our anchor on beam, which as far as I'm concerned is an unenviable position because you have the pressure on you all the time. You get one shot and that's it. And your team is rely on you every time you go up there. So very proud of that young lady and proud of what she's been able to do and the change that she made in a course of 1 year. And then Molly Korth, it's difficult to explain just in a short period of time what she's meant to the program. But if I had to pick one thing out, I think her love of competition is so impressive to me. It's very difficult to predict how an athlete is going to adjust, when they come out of the club level, because you've got everybody's good. You have TV cameras and thousands of people in the stands, and you compound that with Molly was a mid-year. She trained for 6 workouts before we put her out there in her first meet. But the only way to know is to put them out there, and we knew instantly that she loved competing. She thrived on it. And I think it was at that point we knew we had a superstar in the making, and she certainly didn't disappoint. And it wasn't just in competition, although obviously she achieved at a very, very high level and represented herself really, really well in competitions. But I think she motivated and inspired a lot of young ladies out there that watched her on TV every Friday night. But more than that, I think she motivated and inspired our team. She was a different person when it came to competition, but that doesn't necessarily mean on Friday nights. It could be a Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. She would go through a warm up like everybody else. But when we would simulate competition, her arms would go up and she would salute. A big smile came on her face, and you knew it was game time. And I think that was an important lesson for our athletes to learn. You gotta flip that switch. It's time to be on. And but nothing but impressed with both these 2 young ladies. Unfortunately, Molly's senior season was cut short, but Josie's got a great career ahead of her, and we're excited for what comes from both of them.
Yeah, Molly's such a huge part of even changing the entire tide at UK from a gymnastics standpoint. Really, really excellent by both. As we continue to recognize individual performances with UK athletics, we're going to finish up here with Craig Skinner. And I think we're going to see a little more about the back-to-back SEC championship teams tomorrow. But let's start with individuals right here. Leah Edmond, SEC Player of the Year and First Team All-American. Gabby Curry, SEC Libero of the Year. Allie Stumler, Madison Lilly, both First Team All-SEC and Second Team All-America. What would you like to say about these great athletes?
Well, thanks, Laura. But first of all, I mean, they just have an immense amount of pride to put on the Kentucky jersey. Like, some of the other coaches have already stated, they just could not wait to get on the floor and represent the department and the university. But, individually, Gabby is someone that just strives constantly to, day in, day out, always striving for something else. Allie Stumler is someone that just grinds it out day in, day out, before and after practice, trying to hone her skills, trying to make herself a better player all the time. Madison Lilly, just a fearless competitor, wants to play against the best competition in practice and, in big matches all the time, and a student of the game. Leah Edmonds, no moment is too big, fears nothing, wants the ball when the match is on the line. But I could interchange all of those qualities and give them to the other players. I mean, they all represent all those things. And I think when you have elite performers, they all embody a lot of those qualities, and these players certainly do. And talking about them, there's when you're able to compete at the highest level when pressure is on, you're able to focus and forget and repeatedly do that every point of the match. And they also look at every point having equal value. So the first point of the season has a certain value, but also the point against your rival in the 5th set, the match is on the line, has the same value. And those players have the ability to prepare themselves for that big moment because they've taken the first point of the season in the same way. And that is something that's very, very difficult to teach. But obviously we love to have in our program, and those 4 represent that. And I think one thing that I've had to learn over the course of time is when you have elite performers like Madison, Gabby, Allie, and Leah, we have an overinflated view of ourselves as coaches, and we sometimes want to tinker and toy and overtrain and coach. Sometimes you just got to get out of their way. And with players like this, you get out of their way, let them perform, guide them, teach them a little bit. But when the pressure's on the line, you want them to be able to free think and perform and help carry your team to big wins. And all 4 of those players certainly did that. And I think all those qualities, they have similar to what other coaches are describing. They just have an innate ability to be able to get it done when play is on the line. So certainly as a coaching staff, we're very, very proud to represent them.
Yeah, the common thread, it seems like in all these individuals that we're recognizing here, is the ability to prioritize what's right, the ability to be clutch, to be smart, to be good people. But Coach Stoops, I want to ask you this and get everyone's thought on it. What is it about the culture at Kentucky that breeds this type of success?
Well, I think just listening to these coaches, it's easy to see, you want to be a part of this athletic department. Our players really care. They care about each other. They love the people that are in their building each and every day, but they also love the rest of the athletes. And, it's a special place. They love to compete. They love the blue and white. So we're proud of all of them.
Who wants to go next?
Well, I do
I'm happy
remember
to jump
when I
in.
first- You want to jump
This is
in?
the beauty
I
of
messed that
this
up.
is the,
Hey, I'll send it over to you, Ben. I think one of the things I remember when I first got here, so I've completed 13 seasons, is we collectively, with the exception of men's basketball and rifle and cheerleading, we really didn't have a lot of championships going on. But slowly you were starting to see the teams rise. And I think a couple of things happened. One, I can't say enough about all of our support staffs that we have on everything, whether it's academics, strength and conditioning, nutrition. They just have continued to build, and they build this unbelievable culture of excellence that they demand from all the players. And so all these touch points like the weight room, the training table, academic support, all these athletes see each other all the time. And then they talk to each other. And so they developed a culture where they rise together at the same time. So it's very clear to me that you have it from both ends. You have not only getting outstanding coaching from their programs and assistants, but the support staff is all on the same page, and then the athletes are all talking to each other, rising together. And so when you combine that with the unbelievable support that we have in the athletic department, what you've seen over time is just higher and higher finishes, more players competing at the national level, more players, making it to the Olympics, doing what they need to do to become national players of the year, conference players of the year. And so I think I just remember watching Skinner's team, and I remember watching, Mitchell, because we had the same strength coach at the time, and we were getting the exact same progression at the exact same time. So it was very obvious to me that a lot of it had to do with the culture in those departments.
Yeah, Coach Mitchell, jump in. I was doing a social experiment there to see who would talk first, but go ahead and tell us what you think about this Kentucky culture.
well, it's two things for me, and I think Rachel hit on it great about just the commitment from the support that we get from Mitch Barnhart, and everybody in the department is on fire for Kentucky and Kentucky's success. So that's one. And then two is just the Big Blue Nation. It's just a different commitment from our fan base that I think is very, very unique. And all of our athletes know that that they are loved by the fans, and we get great support. And I first stepped on campus as an assistant coach 17 years ago, and I just felt it immediately. It's just a different feel at Kentucky. It is a different level of passion from the fans, and I think all of our athletes benefit from it, and all of them feed off of it.
Coach Cal, what about you?
That what the coaches are saying is so true, but I also think we all get along. I mean, there's the coaches here know we're here for each other, and know we're really the only ones going through what we're going through. And I think we understand each other, we support each other, and then that leads to students enjoying each other and being about each other. But the support we have from academic support, from the weight training to all that stuff, I say this, and you got to give credit to Mitch with the new soccer building, the baseball, volleyball, the upgrades we're making to Memorial. Hopefully that stuff goes through. What they did for soccer, whether it's women's basketball. This is not just about men's basketball and football. I mean, he's made a commitment to a lot of programs here, and coaches are following through. The new track. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff here. But again, I come back to when coaches are together, the athletes will be together and will be about each other. And it's a whole lot easier when we're that way. And that's the environment and the culture we have right now.
It's awesome.
Laura,
Go ahead.
listening today, it was a lot of fun for me because, I've known Leah Edmond since she was probably 8 years old. Her father,
Wow.
Corey, is our head strength and conditioning coach and director of performance. And then with that, I got to know Nick because she's with Nick so much. And you talked about Nick and you talked about Leah, Cal, but just those two and seeing them being in our building and coming and breaking bread with us and having dinner with us and being around our program. That's just a great example of how we all do truly get along, get to know these student athletes from across the board. It's been a lot of fun.
How about Ryan walking in our practices and I go in and I break up Coach Skinner's practices. I throw a ball across the court and he's in there like, what? I mean, and it's that if we can't have fun together and enjoy each other, if we want our kids to be that way, we have to be that way and we have to root for each other. And I know we do. I mean, it's we're in competitive environments. The fight we have, each of us in the SEC, is ridiculous. And we got to be like all of us cheering because this stuff is hard in this league. And every athletic program has the ultimate challenge because this league in every sport, football's ridiculous, Mark. You're in the NFL East, okay? That's where you are. But it's every other team in here is like ridiculous too. I mean, we're all fighting, but you know what? We're fighting for each other. We support each other, and I think for me, to be able to really go and watch a game and root for the athletes and the coaches and their teams makes this unique and special too.
Yeah, so well said by all of you.
And just the support, everybody said from the top down, but I've coached at other universities, and like Cal and Mark and Matthew were talking about, the community that we have as coaches is special. And I think each one of us know at any point in time, if we need something, we can call on one another, and that's a special thing. But the other thing I always talk about with recruits is there's an immense amount of school pride at Kentucky. In high school, you have that school pride. And sometimes when you go to college, you lose it. But at Kentucky, it is there. Eastern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Northern Kentucky. And that pride is so immense, being the flagship institution in this state, that you feel it when you walk on campus and you feel it when you go watch the other teams perform and our athletes watch them perform. That's a special quality, I think, that very few universities have.
Tim, you want to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who is that?
Those are my dogs howling, if that's what you're hearing. Ellen doesn't do anything around here. The dogs are howling.
On,
she
Ellen.
doesn't care. She's sitting there, she's watching TV. I mean, come on. Do something around here.
Oh my goodness.
Think,
the truth of the matter is Ellen does everything. But Tim, go ahead. I want to let you get a word.
Okay, all right. No, I think it's for me it's something that can be put up on a billboard that is easily just cliched, commitment to excellence. But I think here it's tangible, and I think it comes from the leadership at the top naturally, but also, as Cal put it really well, it comes from us being together as coaches group. I mean, I remember a few years back, when I first got here, we didn't have much depth, and we basically had lineups by default, which means, if you were, in the top six, then you were competing. That's it. Not much competition. And that changed over the years. And I remember calling Cal and saying, hey, how do I deal with this? Because these guys are wearing me out. Number 9 and 10 want to be number 5, 6, 7. They want to be in those lineups, and how do you handle that? And then I remember having a conversation with Coach Mitchell outside the football stadium one time, and he said, hey man, what do you need? What do you need? We're going to try to work this out. Whatever it is you need, we're going to try to work this out. And many conversations with Coach Skinner, because our offices used to be right across the hall, and dealing with team dynamics. And I mean, it's tangible. Here it's tangible. I mean, like I said, you can put it on a billboard. It can be cliched, but here it's fact.
Yeah. In talking to all of your student athletes throughout the week that are being recognized, they are so impressive. And I think what rings true is they're getting great leadership, but they're also getting great leadership to be great people. And that's wonderful what all of you are doing for them. Thank you so much for being with us and recognizing these individuals. We've got more to recognize as well, so stay tuned for that. That's coming up next. All right, everybody, we are back for more. You just heard us talking to that last group of coaches, and now we have a whole other group of coaches to recognize some of these great performances and some of these amazing athletes at Kentucky. So let's bring all these guys in, and we're going to hear from every single one of them about their great athletes. Hi, everybody. We got Lars Jorgensen from swimming and diving. We got Harry Mullins from rifle. We've got Johan CEDERGREN from men's soccer and Lonnie Green from track and field and cross country. So we're going to begin with Lars. And as we talk about your athletes, and look, all of you have so many great ones, so it's almost hard to actually sit down and just talk about a few. But let's specifically recognize two SEC champions in diving in Kendall Knight and Danny Zhang, 13 athletes with podium finishes in the SEC championships, which is one of the most competitive meets in the world. A couple of all-time greats in program history like Asia Sight and Ali Gallier, and a group of senior men who did something that hasn't been done in a very long time. So Coach, I'll just let you take it away with recognizing your great athletes.
Well, thank you, Laura. It's an honor to be here today to talk about our athletes. I really think this Elite Award is, kind of represents everything that athletics is about, and what Mitch Barnhart wants all of our coaches to do is just to, have comprehensive excellence, whether it's academics or athletics. And I'm real fortunate and blessed to be able to coach some of these elite athletes. Like you said earlier, I'll start with Asia Sight. She's multiple-time SEC champion. She was at the World University Games this summer and pretty much has done everything you could possibly think of as a student and as an athlete. 4.0, all for college. She's from Kentucky, which is really neat as well. And she bleeds blue and has done so much for our program. She's a captain and a leader, and she really is the best swimmer overall in school history that we've had. And she's really, really competitive. As you're mentioning, Ali Gallier, she's going to be going to the Olympics in 2021 from New Zealand. She grew up in South Carolina. And her and Asia have been both captains, leaders in terms of elevating our program to where we are today. Allie's multiple-time All-American, hard worker, gritty, determined. She comes from, her older sister was NC2A champion for us. And so the whole Gallier family has been awesome to us as a program. You talk about on the diving side, Danny was, as you said, SEC champion along with Chase, who finished silver medal on the 10-meter platform. I like SEC meet. If you didn't get a chance to catch the interview on ESPN, it was pretty epic between those two. They had a really good competition, and finishing 1-2 was pretty good. And then Kendall Knight, I was really, really happy. Obviously, her winning the 3-meter on diving, but it was the first time our coach Ted Hata on diving had an SEC champion. I was really happy for him. Some of the other girls that we kind of mentioned. Winners, Bailey Bonnet, who's was also our third captain on our women's team. She, obviously our NC2A championships were cut short. So I think she would have done some phenomenal things, and she's a multiple-time All-American and just a really good leader from Pittsburgh and gritty and determined. Izzy Gaddy's a young lady from Arkansas who is unquestionably the hardest worker I've ever coached. She 100 miles per hour every single day in practice. She sets the standards for the other girls. Had a phenomenal breakout year. In the fall, she struggled with a little bit of illness, and she came back and just killed it at SECs. It was phenomenal. Riley Gaines has been such a professional since she's been here in terms of her mindset. Has been awesome on relays. Had a breakthrough sophomore campaign. Was fabulous. Throughout the champs, just dropped a bunch of times, and she was trending really, really good towards NC2As. And Beth McNeese is from Houston, Texas. Wonderful. Her improvements this year has just been phenomenal. When I started working with her in August and September, I thought she had a little bit of potential. By the time we got to like November and December, I'm like, this girl could be pretty good. And she had a phenomenal SEC meet she could have done some great things at the NC2A championship. And then on the men's side, really the highlight, we had 4 senior guys get the bronze medal in the 4x100 freestyle relay, the very last event of the championships in Auburn. And it was phenomenal. The same 4 guys were All-Americans last year, but we've never, well, it's been a long time since we've had a medal in the men's SEC swimming side. And for those 4 seniors to really step up and perform the way they did was awesome. John Mitchell led it off with the best time, like the leadoff leg of the relay, which is really critical to set us up on the to be in good position throughout the race. And so he was phenomenal. Jason Head and Glenn Brown threw down some really good legs. Both guys, Glenn's been a great leader for our program and really versatile swimmer. And Jason Head has always been an awesome relay swimmer and swims substantially faster on relays than he does individually. And then Peter Wetzler, who's been our most consistent performer all year on the men's side, was phenomenal in that relay. And for them to get the medal on the very last event at SECs was awesome. So I just want to congratulate all those people. To be able to work with some of these elite athletes, they make me a better coach, and they're a joy for me to work with. And I know we got a lot of other great athletes, obviously many at UK. So just privileged to be here.
Awesome. And congratulations to you too, Coach Jorgensen. It's great. Let's move to Harry Mullins with rifle. And Coach, it was an amazing year. We've already heard about some of your great athletes already this week, but you swept the podium in air rifle at the conference championships with Will Shaner winning, Ruby Gomes second, and Mary Tucker third. And Mary also was the conference and national shooter of the year. What can you say about these athletes and their great work this season?
Oh, thank you, Laura. I mean, they've done a phenomenal job, and especially as young as they are. Mary being freshmen and Will and Ruby being sophomores, just the work ethic they bring to the table every day. When you allude to the sweeping the conference championships in air rifle, us as coaches, we get to sit behind the athletes when they compete. And the Akron coach, who had an athlete in the finals, asked me, he goes, "Aren't you nervous?" I said, you have, 3 of them in there. And as they started to go back and forth with 1/10 here and then the lead shifting and changing, and I kind of smiled at him a little bit and said, this is what we get to see in practice every day, myself and Coach Kirby, is we really tried to instill the competitiveness, both in training and in competition, and to kind of mirror that a little bit. And these 3, plus some of the others, Haley Sigmund and Richard Clark, have done a phenomenal job of just bringing the competition to practice every day, not just on game day, but yet day in and day out. Mary, when you look for Mary, she's either in class or she's on the range or at home sleeping. Will, it mirrors that a lot to that extent. And then Ruby has just really grown tremendously over the course of this past year, along with last year making a push towards the end of being on the NC2A championship team, and this year really putting herself in that situation. And then just the work ethic that they have. In January, we shot one of the best scores in the country. It turned out to be the best score, team score wise, throughout the season this year. And afterwards on Monday, they were in their training as if it was one of the worst scores. When they looked, and between the 4, adding Haley into that equation, they only gave up 10 points out of a possible, out of a possible 600 points each, for a combined team score of 2390. So out of 2,400 points, they only gave up 10 points. And they looked at each other with the pride factor that they had. And I think that really fueled them to move forward throughout that. And then when Will and Mary made the Olympic team this year, I mean, that was a phenomenal accomplishment. Not to have just one person from your program make the team, but 2 to make the team. And just to see the excitement in their eyes. When they come off of practice on a great session, they challenge themselves every day to be perfect. Sometimes we reach that goal in training when you shoot 600s in air rifle, sometimes 599s. To give you an example, Mary unfortunately had a 9.9, which barely missed the 10 ring by less than a millimeter on her very last shot for a perfect score of 600. And the entire country was watching. I mean, she hit 599 numerous times. Will and Mary in the 598, or I'm sorry, Will and Ruby in the 598 range, numerous times. And just to be able to put themselves at that level day in and day out, the focus and the commitment that it takes, I'm so proud of them. I mean, the entire program this year, this has been one of the most fun programs to coach, as far as squads rather to coach. They have a lot of passion. They have a lot of pride. They're very proud to represent the University of Kentucky. When they come in every day, give it their best, both in the academic side and in the range side, of knowing that when they step out on the firing line, they're representing not just the school, but the entire state of Kentucky. And I think they really embrace that factor, and it shows in their actions and trying to be the best that they can be. And they're I don't want to say a non-flashy group. They looked at us one time and said, "Coach, why don't we go to these real nice restaurants to eat? So we have to go back to practice." But no, it's been a pleasure coaching. I'm so proud of them. They make me prouder and prouder every day, even going through this time of internet classes and doing things online. They've responded really well to that. And I'm sure that as young as they are, we'll see some really good things in the future.
Yeah, Mary made a point to shout out the coaches, including you, for dealing with the team dynamic so well this year also. So just really impressive all around. And by the way, I gotta say, your background with all those snacks are making me hungry back there. I don't know what's in those jars, but those look good. You're gonna have to share the wealth there.
Well, we've got a little bit of cereal and some Chex Mix, the whole gamut, the whole gamut.
I'm telling you, it's good stuff. Okay, let's move on to men's soccer and Coach Johan CEDERGREN. And Coach, you're making a little bit of a habit here, winning this CUSA Player of the Year award. It seems like every single year. Now, 4 out of the last 6, with Aime Mabika earning that honor this year, as well as Khalil El-Medkar earning first team all conference. What would you like to say about these athletes as we continue to recognize elite individuals at UK?
I'm really excited to be on this call, and again, just to be sitting here talking with elite coaches and elite programs. I think for me with Khalil and Aime, both of them are just tremendous individuals and players and people. They're both on our leadership council. They care a lot about UK and the men's soccer program. Both of them never wants to be subbed off. They want to play every single game. And I think it's also one of those where, we talk a lot about that the sum has to equal more than the parts. And those guys are willing to do whatever the team needs, and they love playing in front of the Big Blue Nation. So I think, again, both tremendous guys. I think if you look at Aime, as a local player, he redshirted his freshman year. He wasn't highly recruited. I think if you looked in the weight room his freshman year, he wasn't even allowed to use a bar because he had some injury issues and whatever. And now he's on rack 1 with the way the things to do here with Coach Spurlock and Coach Brenna is the strongest individuals on the team, rack 1. So he's on there now. So I think, again, a guy that had to work, again, not playing a single minute his freshman year to be an All-American 2 years later. I think last year was a little bit of an additional challenge for him because he had to lead a whole new back line. Everyone else around him on that back line from 2018 was gone. So I think that it was great for him as an individual and as a leader to grow and to keep developing and finding a way to get results with new players around him. Again, he's a guy that's incredibly tough. He started every single game. He played 21 out of 21 last year. And then also, with soccer, you can go to the combine and you can still keep your eligibility. And I was down in North Carolina and he was the best center back by far at the combine, going into the pros. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out, and we're, extremely excited to have him come back. But again, fantastic individual, cares tremendously about the program. And just, if you look at the progression from his freshman year to now, it's fantastic. So really excited to have him. And then, of course, Khalil is a little bit different. Khalil was one of the best attacking players in the country coming out of high school. We were very excited to be able to get him to come here. He only started 3 games his freshman year, and as an attacking player, he didn't score a single goal. And then the year after, he was one of the best attacking players in the country. And then this year, again, with JJ having left early for the draft and Jason picked up an injury that caused him to miss most of the season, he was playing in a new role where he had to be the leader on offense. And I think, again, it was 6 goals and 7 assists, but, all the teams really keyed in on him, and he had to, try to fight through that and to be a leader on offense. So both of them, just really, really proud to be sitting here talking about them. Really excited to hopefully, soon to start working with them again to see what kind of send off that we can do and give the Big Blue Nation with the 2 of them returning for one more season together.
Yeah, so exactly. It's so exciting that they are coming back. As much as you'd like to see their careers continue on, they will, but it's great that you get them for another year. I love that. Let's go to Lonnie Green now, head coach of track and field and cross country. And coach, I don't even know how to begin to express all the success that your program has been fortunate to have this past year. I'm just going to try to touch on a few highlights here because everyone would be here all day if we kept going through everybody, but you have a deep roster of talented athletes. Let's start with Daniel Roberts, SEC champion, Ellen Ekholm, SEC champion, Abby Steiner, SEC champion, Alexis Holmes, SEC champion, Matt Peer, SEC champion. Let's not forget to throw in also Chloe Abbott with a silver medal, and of course MJ with a bronze at NCAA championships last spring. It's unbelievable. What has led to all of this success for your great athletes?
Quite honestly, I think it's just the kids themselves. They want to do something at the elite level. I'm tickled and I'm honored. First of all, let me say that with just to be among, just to be here and speaking with this group of coaches. Coach Harry and Johan and Lars. Great men, great coaches, and they run very, very great programs. When I first came to Kentucky, I only was hoping to get to where these brothers have already been. I'm hoping I'm gonna get there in time. But to speak about our athletes, to be honest with you, I think it's a culture that has been established, and as a result of it, the kids take pride in what they're doing, and they hold each other accountable. I can go on and talk about Abby Steiner last year having the fastest time in the world in the 200 meters, and I believe if we had got an opportunity to contest the NCAA championship, I thought she would have been the national champion. I thought we would have been one of those teams with her contribution to the relay as well as in the 60. I thought we had a great shot at a podium, if anything. And if the chips fell with the way I was believing and hoping for, I thought we would have made a run at the national championship on the women's side. But you look at MJ, you look at Daniel Roberts. Those young people just committed to that they were going to compete and prepare at the next level, and they did that very well. But again, I have a good group of people with me. I have a great group of coaches with me, and Tim Hall and Keith McBride and Chris Grimes and Haken DeVries and Debbie Ferguson McKenzie. I have a great group of people with me. I couldn't have done this by myself. We have a roster of about 95 kids, and one guy can't handle it all. So I just got some good people behind me that's doing some great things. Chloe, who was a silver medalist at the national championships last year. She came with me from Purdue, and she's just one of those kids. I still think she doesn't really respect the gift that she has. She questions it quite a bit, and I think once she learns to do that, I think the sky's the limit for her. MJ, she's just a gem. You wish you could keep MJ for 50 years, not just 4, because she was the heart and soul of the group. I can go on and go on. This year, you look at a freshman Langston Jackson, a local Kentucky kid, from right here in Lexington, who had the 3rd fastest time in the world in the 200 meters and was going to be a contender in the 60-meter dash. I'm telling you, I can talk and talk and talk all day, but it'll seem as if I'm not giving them credit. It's just I feel real weird when I have to talk about what the Lord has allowed us to do. I feel like I'm being conceited, but at the end of the day, we have a very talented, very young group. We lose Chloe this year to eligibility, to the eligibility being exhausted. And after that, we bring everybody back. So I'm pretty excited about what the future holds for us as a program. As a matter, I think we as a staff have to we have to cook the broth a little slow. We have to be patient. When you have a group like this, you want to get into it. You want to push real aggressively. You want to be the one to break out in front. But I think we're going to have to be the ones to pull the reins back on ourselves and really prepare the babies to compete on a national level. Because I believe the SEC in track and field, if you're competitive in the Southeast Conference in track and field, you're going to be one of the players at the national championship.
Absolutely. And, it's everybody that we've talked to this week, guys, there's been so much talk of what could have been with these great Kentucky programs. And obviously, with what's going on in our world right now, that's just out of our control. But what keeps striking me is that we still do have a chance to honor these great athletes, even though it was unfinished, a lot of it, for what they could have done. And I think that's really special. I want to go to you, Lars, on just this particular question and how you think that Kentucky in general allows for these players to be their best, and what about the culture on your campus allows for them to excel in their particular areas?
Well, it really does start with Mitch Barnhart said for all the coaches and the athletes on how we conduct ourselves here at UK. I think it's little things like going to the training table for dinner. Like all of our athletes see other athletes, or they go to CATS and world-class track athletes, or soccer, or rifle. We could go on and on. And I think what inspires them is they want to have the high standards that everybody in the department's like just really phenomenal. So I think they, in our case, it really elevates each other when they look at, volleyball winning a championship. They're like, well, we want to win a championship as well. And I think it's contagious. And, as all these great coaches here, talking today, I think I learned from the other coaches as well. And so I think it's a close-knit family here at UK, and whether it's the athletes or the coaches, all kind of working for leagues and making Kentucky as successful as we can overall.
Harry, you've got individual athletes, and that's something that, a few of you also have. How do you see your own athletes inspire each other to do their best while also sometimes even competing with each other?
And that's very unique because they do have to compete against each other for the individual accolades. And we've kind of taken the philosophy of doing the best that you can to make the team better. And so sometimes, Mary may win the event, sometimes Will may win the event, sometimes Ruby, sometimes Haley, and being happy for their teammates. I think it was our second home match of the season. Mary had finished a little bit before Will, and we have a tradition where the athletes stay on the firing line until everybody finishes. And Mary shot a phenomenal score of 592 in small bore. And Will was working on a 593, 594. And Will shot his last shot, and I believe it was a 593. And there was a big fist pump from Mary, knowing that when Will does his best and Mary does her best and everybody else does their best, the team is always going to be successful. So we really tried to shape the environment, and kind of like the other coaches were saying, is just the atmosphere in itself, to be there for the team. Be there for the team. If you're there for the team and become the best that you can be, the team is going to be successful and you're going to be successful. And to me, I think it takes a tremendous person and a special person to be happier for their teammate than for themselves when they see success. But I think Kentucky really fosters that environment for that to really truly happen. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of good success.
Johan, how have you seen your players benefit from just the overall support of Big Blue Nation?
No, I just, I think, again, if you look at that, the Wendell and Vicky Bell Stadium that we have, it's one of the best stadiums in the country. And to be able to get 1,500, 2,000 people come, and it's a very special atmosphere. I talked about in Khalil not wanting to be subbed off earlier. And again, it's one of those where we play on, at home under the light. It is just an amazing experience. And Lars has been kind enough to get his team out there to support us. Sometimes I giggle when I look to my right and the Cups and just their Speedos in late October. But again, I just think it's one of the best men's soccer stadium setup atmospheres in the country. It's something that we're very, very proud of. I know that Mitch and his people worked really hard to put that in place. And it's also for us talking about, Khalil be one of the best attacking players in the country, and we were able to snag him coming out of high school. I think a big reason to what we've been able to bring in all these really good players is because of the atmosphere that we have and the setup and the Big Blue Nation. Again, you look at some of the attendance numbers across the country for men's soccer, there are those that are in the hundreds. And I think for us, fans always come out. I think a Friday night under the lights, I like it a little colder being from Sweden. So again, if we get to October, we get to November, when we start playing for things, it's an electric atmosphere. And our guys love playing in front of the Big Blue Nation.
And Lonnie, your athletes have already gained so many accolades, and they'll continue to do that. As you mentioned, a young team. How much does that help in recruiting to be able to actually show your next athletes the hardware that your current athletes are winning?
I guess in many respects, it's a punch in the gut as well as it's a positive. Sometimes I think the young incoming freshmen think that the group is so young and so strong that they don't think they could measure up, so they doubt whether or not they should come and join us. And then we as a staff would have to convince them that, hey, this is the place for you. Thanks be to God. I mean, we've been able to do that. Um, um, when individuals get to campus, first of all, for us in the recruiting world, to be honest with you, our goal is just to get them to campus. If we can get them to campus, I think we can win. We can win the recruiting battle. But at the end of the day, I think, when you have a team as young as this and as talented as this, in my humble opinion, I think it bodes well for the future. I think once you find the right young man or right young woman who have the confidence to enter into what I call the ring, with talent like this, the sky's the limit for what they can and cannot do. So, I'm recruiting is the game is won and lost in recruiting, and no matter what sport you're in. But at the end of the day, I think with what the Lord has allowed us to do, I think we're going to be okay. We'll be okay.
I think you're going to be great. And I think all of you are going to be great. Thanks so much for doing this and for being with us and for recognizing your great athletes. It's been so much fun. We've heard from a lot of great athletes throughout this entire day, throughout all the sports at UK. And we've got a lot more exciting things coming your way tomorrow as the 2020 CATSPYs come to a close. Of course, we're presented by Kentucky Farm Bureau. And one thing to watch out for tomorrow will be the senior video. So get your tissues ready, because as we keep talking about, there was a lot of unfinished business left for these athletes, and yet we're still finding ways to honor them and celebrate them. Let's go ahead and take a look back at all the great performances of these elite individuals from Kentucky right now.